we want to, take this panel and follow the format that was followed earlier, a little bit more of a rapid fire approach. For those of you who recall, which was mentioned earlier, this theme of financial empowerment was one of the three key themes that came out of the summit in New York City last December. So we wanted to spend some time focusing on that. So what we've done is we've gathered a very kind of eclectic group of individuals, Betsabe, Mark, Randy, and Vishal, who are going to give us a variety of perspectives and point of view about this topic of financial empowerment, which is extremely important to our community. It's something that's very important to me as well. Personally, as a Latino business owner and entrepreneur, I jumped at the chance to moderate this panel. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on key actionable items. And the thing that we focused on, we said, hey, let's start big picture and then kind of narrow down, and hopefully you'll walk out of here with some very concrete examples. So, why don't we start with Randy first? When you think about financial empowerment, particularly looking at 5 years from now, what do you think it's going to look like? Is it going to be different than it is today? And if so, what can we do to make sure that that's a positive difference? We'll start with you, and we'll let every panel address that.
Great. So I think a couple of things. One, and a lot of this is being, I would say, an evolution of the conversation that's going on today. When I think about what it looks like in 5 years, it depends on what we do today. So that's the first thing. And I think it will be primarily the outcome of how many more stories are we highlighting of the Latino owner. Samara made a point earlier in the conversation about how it is important to own the businesses ourselves. And when I think about my career, so I'm a recovering banker, was in financial services for 17 years, built multiple businesses all around supporting the founder, the CEO, or the entrepreneur. And when people ask me, well, why'd you make the jump to work for yourself? It's because in all those roles, I was drawn to the entrepreneur. I'm the son of Dominican immigrants. I grew up in a grocery store out on the East Coast in Arbo Bodega, which was my second home. And what drew me always was the same thing that drew my father to open that store. And so I think that the more we can highlight those stories, leveraging both the media, but letting our children know, professionals in the industry know, that there is another option. And when you own, you control the message, and more importantly, help control the outcome. So I think that looking forward, if we tell that story enough, we're going to see a different type of experience of what financial empowerment is, because we'll be in control of it.
Vishal, 5 years from now, and how do we get there?
Sure, thank you, and great to be here. I'd highlight two things. I think first is the financial services industry does have to evolve and start to focus more on outcomes and not just how many products have we sold, right? So it's not enough just to sell an insurance product or investment product, but we actually have to look at, did we actually make somebody more financially well? Have we actually solved their long-term problem? And to do that, you have to engage more deeply with consumers. And I think this is where it is not just a diversity imperative, but it is a real strategic imperative for large financial services firms to bring more diversity into their advisor forces, into their overall population, because that's what will allow financial services firms to engage more deeply with all segments in the market. The second thing I would highlight is the role of the employer. And I think, earlier a gentleman cited Hispanics, there is trust in employers, right? And that is true across other populations as well. And that's really important. So we have to really leverage the workplace as a place where we can address people's financial needs, because frankly, for a lot of individuals, that's where their retirement savings, that's where their insurance needs are all addressed. And across the Hispanic community, this is actually an area where it's underutilized. Hispanics tend to work for smaller companies, which often don't have retirement plans, and they underutilize those plans when they have access to them. So this is an area where legislation can help. There's actually some legislation right now floating around both the House and the Senate that actually would help on this. And this is an area where employers can put more and more energy, because they do have the trust of their employees, and they can actually make a difference in helping employees make good financial decisions and utilize financial products appropriately to achieve financial security.
Mark?
Yeah, so at the Latino Business Action Network, we collaborate with Stanford Graduate School of Business to champion the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative. And we recruit the top 3% of our Latino and Latina business owners across the United States to do a scaling program. So our sweet spot is entrepreneurship. And they're a driving force of what you heard earlier, the world's number 7 GDP, period, right? So what is financial empowerment looking like for this top class? We've graduated 432 entrepreneurs. One, I think the financial services sector needs to really understand our community. And number two, our entrepreneurs need to be open and receptive to access to capital, to actually, not just the notion of it, but open their mind to leveraging debt. And so we have 5 examples that you've heard from that have graduated from our program. Maria Rios, David Andalcio, Delia's here, Omar Duque, and we also have Agustina from Ulta Beauty, who also graduated from our scaling program. All they did was they opened their mind to leveraging debt. And so we've got to do more of that. 97% of our businesses are non-skilled and mostly non-employer firms. In other words, it's me, myself, and I. So in order to grow, we're going to have to open our minds and be prepared to access that capital. And the other thing is, know your bankers and capital providers before you need the money. And that's going to be the key to everything.
I love that. That's a
Well, as entrepreneur and founder of an emerging technology company focused on blockchain, I have a very much futuristic vision of what financial empowerment would be for Hispanics. So what I envision in the 5 to 10 year mark is that every single person, I will not say only Hispanic, every single person in the world will be able to have a dashboard on their phone, and you're going to be able to access to different services: savings, life insurance, check-ins, access to capital, access to buying a house, everything through that. And in a matter of minutes, you're going to be able to get a loan, or you're going to be able to get approved without the middleman. How are we going to get to that? It's a very difficult way to get to that. But it requires technology. It requires emerging technologies. It requires a shift on your mindset. Technology is not to be afraid. On the contrary, it's to be embraced. And it's to think about the things you cannot even imagine. As think your life about internet before. How was it? You need to actually write a letter and send it out. Now you just type and click send. Did you ever thought about it? I grew up without internet. So no, I never thought that was possible. Also, what else do we need to do? Regulation. I'm a former banker. I spent many years in my career, and I look, thank God, younger than my age, in financial inclusion worldwide. Oversee over 145 countries, and it doesn't work. In my opinion, there are many things that we're doing. It's not working. We're not moving the needle. Why are we going to do it? Remove biases, preconceived biases, remove the silos, like Claudia was saying. We are all equals. There should not be silos, and we need to collaborate. And regulation. Regulation sometimes comes in the middle of innovation. I mean, I know the regulation is there for good purpose, to protect us, but do we need to be protected all the time? Or do we need to be told we're stupid and we don't understand? So things will get a lot easier with technology. And that is one of the things that I'm focusing. I'm committed to do it, because I have been on the I've been on the big bang, financial inclusion, social impact, and now on the other side, I'm trying to convince everyone that blockchain really is here to stay and to give you a huge benefit to each of you. That's my view.
Okay, can you build on, getting over this phobia of technology? What advice would you have for entrepreneurs who are still hesitant to embrace technology, particularly in the financial empowerment space?
Well, first, I will say tap into your nature. I mean, Hispanics are naturally passionate. We are obsessed, and we are curious. Just be curious. Nothing will happen. Nothing will be deleted. Go and research, Google everything. I will say the most laggard person would ever be never use technology, and now I'm here coding and working with projects with NASA on blockchain and space. So everyone can do it. Just stop being scared, be curious. There are so many things. Reach out to people. There are many medium. There are so many things, and I know we are short on time, so I'm trying to be fast. So if anyone really wants to talk about emerging technologies, please feel free to reach out. I'll be around.
Terrific. Vishal, you talked about financial products. Can you talk about some of the Prudential's products, particularly how they made an impact, right? Because you wanted to make sure that it's one thing to roll out products, but are they making an impact? Anything you can share quickly?
Sure, yeah. No, I mean, obviously, for a long time, Prudential has been providing insurance, investment, advice solutions. What we've been putting more and more focus in recent years has been on a suite of financial wellness capabilities that complement these products. Because what we see in the market is we have to help people understand our products, we have to help people use them optimally, and so we made big investments in financial education. Either doing that, we provide free educational seminars at hundreds of employers. We made big investments in digital capabilities to engage. And other tools that help people with understanding debt or how to manage student loan debt. And it's all really because everyone's financial lives are interconnected. So you can't get someone to save more for retirement if you don't help them manage their debt picture, right? So we have to engage with people more holistically. We have to give people different ways. Some people want to learn in person. Some people want to work with a coach. Some people want to do it on their own. So giving people the flexibility to engage on their own terms, but ultimately in the service of helping them understand what are their needs, what are their options, how can they actually achieve the outcome they're seeking to achieve, and a product is a means to an end in doing that, but it's not just about the product.
Terrific. Olga unfortunately wasn't able to join us. She's one of my financial advisors, right? And I have two. But Randy, I want to get your thoughts. Is there anything new or different or innovative in the area of kind of advisory, approach, particularly to the U.S. Hispanic community that you've seen?
Yeah, and I think it's a good follow-up to the comments because, step one, technology has allowed us to just access so much more information. And I think that's where the missed opportunity is for folks. If you're intimidated or not curious enough, you're going to miss out. Technology levels the playing field in terms of having access to information. And I think I had a friend ask me the other day if he could sit down with me for half an hour to pick my brain about what he should be doing about his financial life. This guy is extremely talented, soon-to-be entrepreneur, creative, but never sat down and talked about retirement planning. Never sat down and talked about how he should be managing his student debt. And I just pointed him to a ton of resources that were online. So in my opinion, that gets us to the base, to the ground level. The next opportunity is to leverage technology to do the things that are natural to us that are going to make our businesses grow. So what does that mean? It means simple things like open your phone, look at LinkedIn, and find people around you to build those networks. Build that community. The Latinos are very family-based, and the more we can use technology to let our true selves reflect in the way we transact business, I think you're going to find success. And it's one of the reasons that I created my own company, because I saw that the best entrepreneurs had great advisors around them. It was kind of either one or two things: great advisors with the opportunity to incorporate technology in their business, or great tech but not the right advisors. And what I saw was an opportunity. I'm passionate about doing for Latinos and underserved communities because I'm one of them. But I think that's the next step, is integrating the human element of what makes us unique with the technology that's already available.
Mark, you talked about scaling, right, and having a different relationship with debt. What other things are you seeing that that Latinos need to understand in order to effectively scale our business more effectively?
That's right. So financial empowerment gains us access, right? And there's a figure that I want you to remember. $1.47 trillion is the opportunity gap, which is the difference between what Latino business owners and non-Latino business owners earn. In order to close that gap, we're going to have to scale effectively. So I'll just give you three things, basically. One, I already mentioned that, right? Access to capital. Get to know your capital providers before you need the money. Number two, if you're a certifiable business, get certified, because there's millions of dollars of procurement contracts available out there. Now, it's a long-term proposition. So if it doesn't happen overnight, use it as a marketing opportunity. And number three, network. Already today, there's been situations where Maria Rios has been partnering with IBM and talking about her next product. So get out there, make 3 important contacts, and that's the difference between scaled and non-scaled. That's what scaled companies do.
Terrific.
Thank you so much.